2.
We are live, local, and late breaking. Buddy, you want to do something with that hair here?
Does it look bad?
I mean, just the middle part looks like...
I don't know why you want to come this way when you got to go that way.
No, I switched a couple years ago. How's that?
That's better. It was just the middle part.
Does that look good or not?
It looks fine. It looks fine.
Sticking up like them.
Oh, all right. All right, well,
All
we got a lot of
right.
announcements. Welcome back to the show.
Are you okay?
No, I'm freaking cranky.
You seem cranky.
I'm starving, and
Why?
my face feels like a catcher's mitt. I'm swollen.
You know what I was going to say to you just to like really annoy you?
Oh, no.
I was going to be like, you know what you should do? You should like get up early. Get up an extra hour early and just like, set your intentions for the day and like make your healthy meal and decide what you're going to do that is going to make your life better by 1 degree. So do
Can
you
we
want to do
actually
that?
turn this fan down a little bit? I'm sorry. I'm gonna get hypothermia by throw it on a 2.
This is your face right now. You're like,
I'm so tired.
your whole face is like closed.
I know.
Your eyes are closed.
Do the whole podcast while asleep.
You drove me here though. It's like, hello, are you alive?
No, the thing is, I should have got another cup of coffee. So the problem is, we tried to socialize 2 nights ago. We did socialize.
We did it.
We did great, and you did great. And there's a lot to unpack here with this party, which was a comedy party.
Yes.
It was
like a wedding.
Yeah, it was a wedding, and the next day was pure hell for both of us.
Yes.
But we both had a moment in the day where we're like, I don't care. I'm alive. Let's do it.
I did that thing at the party where I was like having a lot of fun and standing next to the bar, and someone was like, "Oh, do you want another vodka soda?" And I was like, I guess I'll have a beer, as if like that doesn't have alcohol in it. Like I
saw that move.
I was like, oh, I'm switching to beer now inexplicably, as if like that's gonna slow me down.
Well, it was funny because it was like a blast from the past party for me, at least. I don't know, like if you see these people. You hang out with Tony Zarin a lot?
I don't see any person.
I know.
I don't see any single person on the planet. I see you. I see Indira. I see the children.
Yeah.
And then like I get texts occasionally from people who are like, hey, we should get together. And I'm like, it's literally just like screaming into the void. It's like, I'll see you. But we won't. I'll never see that person.
But the problem is, even when you do get together with people, you're so effing tired. Like Tommy's band played, or whatever the hell that was.
It was good. I like that.
Tommy and the Jets up there,
Tommy and the Tomettes, it was.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
And they did like 5 songs. It was really fun.
I like that. I thought it was really like romantic and fun.
It was. And then people were dancing, and I was like kind of swaying. I kind of like trumped.
You did trump. I saw you from across the room because they basically did like a first dance, like it was a wedding, and I was like, and then they were like inviting other couples to come dance, and I was like, you and I are good dancers, so I was like waiting for you to ask me to dance, and then I just saw you in the corner being like, you're like, oh yeah, and I'm like, move your hips, like you freak, like why was it like only hands?
But I'm saying I had the feeling of like, I don't want to fucking dance.
Old Leadfoot over there.
Like, when your dad or like any old man would just be like, just gonna sit, and you go, that's it? Aren't you bored? And they're like, no. That's what I felt like.
My dad didn't really do that, but he would just like leave. Like he would be like, I mean, obviously my dad's most famous catchphrase is, I think we're done here. And he would be like at a social event and he would just be like, he'd be like, I think we're done here. And then go like.
He needed to get home.
He had to get out of there, or if the party was at his house, he'd just like go into his office and be like, I got to get some stuff done. I'm like, what? Like there's literally like 40 people in the house. He didn't really like.
Socializing.
No. And also, like, I think that that wasn't how he relaxed. Like that was a lot of energy for him. Yeah. And so then when he's spending time with people where like that is how they relax, it's like that's like a weird feeling, right? Like if you're like around people and you're like, isn't this great? And he's like, I'd actually rather be asleep. Like I would rather be reading a book or like watching the game or like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the problem is that no one is that honest, and like also that would be rude to be like, I'd rather be watching the game than be at your wedding. But like it is the truth with some people.
Well, that's why I'm a big fan of activities and you're at a party like that, and they're like, and now we're gonna remember that wedding we're at where they were like, and now we're gonna bring out a bag of foam hats. And everybody's like, why?
Yeah.
And it was like, I have a chicken on my head. It actually was great. And
I did like that. Also, that wedding was spectacular. They made the dance floor over the pool.
Yep.
And we all ate
Everybody
family
fell
style. I mean, I wish.
hospitalized.
We all ate like family style meals, and I was like, this is going to be terrible. And it was literally the best food I've ever had. Forget wedding food. This was the best food I've ever had. And the other thing at that wedding that was absolutely adorable, the groom wrote both of us handwritten notes on our plates, like literally waiting for us when we sat down. And you and I were like, we weren't married yet, were we?
I don't know.
Did I even know you? Anyway, I didn't like know him super well. And then
felt like we were married.
Yeah, I was bored.
Oh, simul joke.
I thought that was so nice, but that was fun, and the party hats were fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all the pictures I have from that wedding are like me in a foam hat with
Pavel?
No, with with Kareem, but like in the dark. So it's like we're trying to take a picture of our funny hats, but you can't see anything because there's no flash on the camera.
Oh, speaking of pictures, at the party we're at, we got a great couple Mindys that we're going to be releasing.
Well, we don't know if they're great.
I looked at them. She showed me.
We were drunk.
I was like, that's it.
I can't wait to see these photos. You're going to be like, oh, no. I have a picture of you and Allison on my phone and that I was like, oh, this is going to be a great photo. And I saw it. I was like, I might just delete it. I can't show it to either of them. They'll be so pissed.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was good, but I don't know. But
you can't take like headshots when you're already inebriated because then she's showing you what you look like and you're like, I look great.
I'll bet that I do look great. I think she's got the gift.
She does have a gift.
But this is classic like my comedy career. Mindy, is it Kaling?
And the show's over, folks.
Mindy Tucker, like big comedy photographer, and everybody, whoever went to the creek had the Mindy up on the wall. They made like a whole banner out of it and everything. And I was at the creek all the time.
And you never had one.
Never got a Mindy, never got a nothing. And then I got one.
Never got a Mindy, and now you have one.
Well, I got one over the pandemic when I did an outdoor show.
I got one once, like years after my career had fallen apart. It's just like with Allison at like a cool show Allison was doing. Like I'm like not even on the lineup. I'm like, I think it was like part of New York Comedy Festival. Like maybe it was like post COVID, but like in an era where people were like, I don't know if I really want to be inside. Like people were definitely like fully wearing masks in her audience, and it was like,
oof, liberals, brutal.
It was just like it was in the
worst.
Chelsea Market. Do you know like that theater over there?
Yeah, it was the old UCB, right?
No.
Oh,
the new
No.
That was a UCB
show at
space.
Chelsea Market.
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew that one. Man, you were much cooler than I was.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with Noah at the creek, not getting
Mindy's.
Yeah, no, just in the back. Hey, big guy out of the way. I'm trying to take another picture of Joe Pera.
Oh my God.
So this party felt very much like almost like a high school reunion, which we're going to get to yours physically next week. But you have this feeling like I know all these people. I've spent so many hours watching them do their horrible stand-up. Most of them. Some are okay.
Okay.
That was a joke. I mean, many of them are quite successful. But then you start talking to some of them and you go, I have this affinity to you, and yet I have absolutely nothing to say to you, really.
Well, because we always talk about this, how you go to the playground or whatever with your kids, and you end up talking to these other parents, whether you know them or not. And it's like everyone's basically in the same spot, right? Like, you know, they're stressed at their job. They're like this stuff, the kids stuff is too expensive. Their kids getting up at night. They're tired. Like, it's like all the same stuff. And what I realized hanging out with all the comics again, I was like, so actually it's just the same type of thing where it's like people kind of being like, oh, I wish I could get this thing going, but that's not happening. And like, it is the same type of like, it's almost like you feel the collective like weight of it all, you know? And so then people are like, it's so rare that someone comes in also like both with parents and with comics no one's going to come in hot and be like, things are great for me right now. Like, I just got an HBO special and, like, no one's doing that, because even if you are experiencing that, you're not going to rub in everyone's face. Also, everyone in the room already knows. They already know you got it.
Actually, yeah, right. And there was probably like, 50 people there, and like 3 people you're like, we know your career is like going very well.
Right.
But then one comic I'm not going to name because I don't want, whatever. But I was like, how you doing? And he's like, killing it. But he was like,
he was probably kidding.
I think he was kidding.
He was kidding.
Well, let me tell the story. He was like killing it. I know he had gone to grad school, got a big job, got married, like grew up a little bit, you know, in the last 5-10 years. And but I think the joke was between me and him was like, my life is good by every other measure other than I'm not a successful stand-up comic.
Well, that's what it is.
So he was kind of being like, I'm a loser, even though like he's not a loser. He's killing it. And we always have those little voices in our head like, yeah, but you're not on HBO, buddy.
Of course, but it's like, when I was talking to JP, we were like laughing because it doesn't actually even matter like how good your comedy career is going or even your regular daytime career. It's like you're just waiting for someone to absolutely unintentionally just like drag you. So like he was talking about how he went to this like family funeral and like it's like older people, older relatives, whatever, and they're like, oh, like JP, we watched your HBO. And like he has a special on YouTube. Yeah. And he's like the absolute like unintentional dig at the fact that I don't have an HBO special. Like it's like people don't mean to do this, but it's like they can absolutely like crush you over something that you're like, I wasn't even worried about that. Like I was proud of the special. It's like, I mean, we're talking about like my reunion next week, but it's like people going and being like, and are you still performing? Are you still doing your skits? And you're like, oh, actually I was going to, but now I have to walk into traffic. Like I should be immune to it at this point. Like I should just be like, like I actually had 2 kids and, it's a little bit harder for me to get up right now, like babysitters, whatever. But instead I'm like, I'm a loser. I'm like, I hate myself. I'm like, also I've gained a lot of weight. And you're like, they didn't even say anything about your weight. Yeah.
You're like, we were just talking about, do you want to go get a drink? Okay.
You're like, I don't even know why I have to like take something so personally when the person who's saying it is 1, trying to show interest in you, and 2, like not meaning it in an insulting way at all. Like they're really not. Yeah. But it's like, unfortunately, you have cut to the core of me and I need to be on medication. Like, thank you so much. But it was good to see you. Yeah,
I did insult it. This kind of reminds me, but I played golf with a friend of a friend for like 9 holes, and then the friend joined last week.
9 holes.
And he goes, I'm like a forensic lawyer. Like when there's a lawsuit, I dig through documents to like find what's relevant. And I just go, is that as thrilling as it sounds? And he laughed, luckily, because I was like, and then I was like, Jesus,
that's his whole career.
We're minute 2 of a stranger hanged.
Oh my God.
You might have well just said, yawn.
Yeah. Brutal, huh?
Oh my God. But that's the other thing. It's like, then you, you're hoping both at the parent hang or at like whatever random hang that someone at least has a sense of humor about the fact that like being an adult is dumb. Like it's just like you just have more responsibility. You're the same stupid person that you were before you got your law degree. It's just now you're like, also I get a paycheck. Like, and then you meet people who have no sense of humor about it, like would not laugh at that joke and be like, oh, well, this is like my passion in life is to like dig through files. And it's like, okay, so now we really are at rock bottom, because if you think that your like forensic accounting role is just absolutely the most interesting thing on the planet, like, I don't know where our conversation goes from here. Like, I'm like, oh, have you ever seen, The Simpsons? It's like, what sort of like
food?
I'm like, you ever see that show Seinfeld? It's like, what is going to be the common denominator here? I have no idea.
Well, one of my favorite people that we talked to, who again will remain unnamed, but I'll describe them to you.
Also describing them in such detail that like it's going to be very obvious.
They don't listen to this shit.
So why not just name them? Name them.
No, because let's say we do blow up and then they like dig through their thing. It's not safe.
Name them.
So
Do you know what I'm referencing or no?
No.
Let the record show he does not.
What is it? My Cousin Vinny?
No.
Do you know what she's talking about? Mike?
It's a Housewives reference.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, probably some stupid girl shit. Oh, Housewives. Yeah, it is. Okay, great. So
If that was my cousin Vinny, I would have been. I just could have kept doing the lines with you.
Obviously.
but I just watched it. That's what.
Also,
that's
like,
why.
if it was My Cousin Vinny, like, you would have known what it was.
I know, we just watched it. So my favorite part was we're talking to this guy. We had two great interactions with one guy at this party, which was,
Oh, God.
number one, I'm talking to him and I'm like, yeah, I have 2 kids. I have 3 jobs. I work in a coal mine.
Yeah,
my
really.
life sucks. Whatever. I'm tired. Whatever I'm saying. But it's like,
You just like morph into like a cartoon character with like an old timey tin lunch pail.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm king of the hill. Yep.
you're like, it sure is hard in them hills. Like, what?
That show is funnier now than ever
It's ever
before.
been,
I
yeah.
got served a clip where Bill's just sitting there with his friend, yep, just drinking a beer at the bar, and then he calls his wife and goes, "We're just having the greatest time." But I'm talking to this guy, and I'm talking about like grown up stuff because I'm a grown up. Okay.
Are you?
And he goes, "Yeah, I've been doing a lot of boogie boarding," and I laughed right in his face. I go, "What are you, fucking 10?"
That's
and then
also-
he was serious. He like has a locker and he's out there boarding. And I'm
First of
like,
all-
why not?
First of all, why not? Also, like, the things you do when you don't have children and you have time to burn.
But it's like that's like a punchline of the things you do when you don't have not actually getting on a subway with your boogie board to go surfing. You're a man, right?
I don't know. That one didn't really bother me that much. I was like, I mean, like,
It doesn't bother me. It shocked me.
it shocked you? It
Yeah,
didn't
he's like,
shock
yeah,
me.
I've been doing a lot of yo-yo. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, but that is what these people do. And then, but I'm
swamp
saying,
the dog.
I'm saying it's the same concept as going to the playground with the parents, and then you go, oh, like, what are you up to this weekend? And they're like, oh, we're like taking the kids to this new ceramic studio where you can like paint your own pottery with your feet, and you're like, oh, and it's like, that's so random. Like, that wouldn't even cross my mind to do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
Brunch, boogie boarding. It's the same idea, right?
but it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you meet, it's the same type of people where you're like, I'm meeting you, you're bringing up something that literally would not even be on my list. Like, I'm like, I get to Saturday and I'm like, it's 7 a.m. I'm like, how am I going to make it through today? We only basically have like one real nap, and like both kids like need to be engaged for like a solid 12 hours. And I'm like, I have probably, it's like, going on the road opening for someone who's like, you need to do half an hour, and you're like, I have maybe 7. I have 7 minutes.
And you're like, crowd work?
Yeah, and then you're just like, ding, 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 ding. And then you like check your watch after like 20 minutes of like singing and dancing, and you're like, it's 9:05. Like, it's not even time for breakfast yet. Like, I
Yeah.
just,
Sometimes you lived an entire day and you're like, it's not 10 yet. I can't even text that friend. But what I liked about I'm talking to this guy, and then I did roast him. I said, you look like a pickup artist, because he had like a scarf and like 9 necklaces on and 5,
I think he was doing that because he was
Rings.
like in the band.
I know he was, but
Oh.
it was a nice little roast. And then he like didn't love it. And then you saw him and you go, your mouth gets huge like a python eating a giraffe. Oh, hey, And you had a life before you met me. And I go, oh, they must be old comedy friends. You light this guy up with the most charisma, 40 minutes of talking, absolutely killing it. And I go, how do you know him? I have no idea who that is.
It's called alcoholism. So this is like, the TikTok trend that's like, what's your toxic trait?
Ooh, that was on my list.
I'm like, what's my toxic trait? It's not, Mike and I were talking about this yesterday. I don't remember anyone's face or name. Okay. To the point where it's like someone could come up to me who is actually an old friend who looks exactly the same as they always did. And they're like, hey, Alyssa. And I'm like, not a clue. This happens to me all the time with your stuff, because if I go to a game with you or like even a bar, you're like, you remember Steve. I'm like, not only do I not remember Steve, I don't even know the context.
No.
Like, remember that we ran into your old coworker in the park, literally, like,
Yeah, that was a weird one. You didn't remember her.
no, I don't remember anyone. It's like, when that guy is smiling at me and making eye contact, I'm like, and talking to my husband, I'm like, surely he knows who I am. I also think this is like my own like delusions of grandeur. I'm like, I just assume that I'm famous and everyone knows who I am.
It's a good assumption.
So when I walk around, you know, the city and people are like doing a double take, I'm like, obviously they recognize.
People do that to us, like in that, you know, did you see Inception?
Yes.
So when they're in the dream and people keep turning, that happens to us a lot, and I think it's because
because they're like, should we call the paparazzi? Like, that woman looks so good and so cool. Obviously, she must be famous. And then I get on the bus, and they're like, oh, she's not famous.
They're like, that man's face is swollen shut.
And they're like,
open his eyelid.
Like, is that man's eyes completely closed as he's driving his wife around the city?
And then you hand him their Chipotle order. And you go, last name? Think, oh, this is not.
I just like, I really, and then obviously once I've had a couple of drinks, if someone's like, blah, 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 how you been? I'm just not rude enough to go, I'm sorry, who are you? Like, I just don't do that. And maybe I should do that.
Because I got a text during an ESPN Plus game. And I always assume like kind of nobody's watching those. But then I realized like sometimes you get a lot of texts. You go, oh, there's actually people watching this. And it was like, hey, buddy, good job in the game. Like, whatever. And then I'm like multitasking. I'm like, thanks. And I walk out, and there's that nice dad from the neighborhood, and he goes, what are the chances? And I go, what are you talking about? And he was the guy who texted me, because I never would have ever thought some dad in the neighborhood would watch a Plus game.
Right.
And then I felt really bad because he knew that didn't really know who I was responding to on the text. You know what I mean?
Well, now you know.
And he's like, I just wanted you to feel bad. And I go, mission accomplished.
Did he say that?
No.
Oh.
My toxic
That would be
trait,
funny.
I have 2 ideas that I'm going to share with you.
I have a lot of toxic traits. Do you want to do all of them or just pick one?
Let's go back and forth.
Okay, keep going.
Should we do the sounder?
Yeah.
Toxic traits.
Do we have that?
I just did it.
Well,
You go, do we have that?
clip it.
Do we have that? Do we have sounds?
Dylan had a sick intro for a segment that bombed.
You were like, Dylan, ring the bell. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm like, ring it. And then he did, and then I like didn't have one like set up.
No, and it just went nowhere. But
I got one ready.
all right.
Yeah.
Hold on, here it comes.
That does remind me that yesterday, my high school friends, 4 guys on a chat that are almost 40, my friend said he had very loud gas. We demanded videos, and then he sent videos, and everybody on the chat was like, this is amazing. Keep sending. So my toxic trait is that I love telling people my dreams.
Oh.
I love it. And I have really vivid dreams, and they're like giant weird movies, and I just got to tell you.
Can I tell you something? When I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I'm stressed about is hearing your dream, because it's going to be so boring. It's going to be so long. It's nothing. Also, you always dream about the same stupid like survival stuff because that's all you watch. You watch like I Shouldn't Be Alive, and then you're like, I had a dream that I was like on a raft in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm like, no kidding. That's exactly what we just watched.
But what's the second part of the dream? And I wasn't ready for basketball.
Always.
I'm like, there's a shark attacking me, and I'm like, I gotta run. I gotta get ready.
Hearing about someone else's dreams is just one of those things where you're like, you know, when you yell at me, where you're like, I can tell that you've completely checked out of the conversation, because turns out I am kind of mean. Listening to dreams is almost like it's like an automatic. You're like, people are like, I had this dream last night, and you're like, I can't.
Oh, it's brutal. I hate hearing other people's dreams. Have you seen the Family Guy clip about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the trial was in another place. It was like a house, but it wasn't. So,
so stupid.
I'm watching So You Shouldn't Be Alive. I'm going to relate this back masterfully to what we were talking about before.
Oh my God.
But I Shouldn't Be Alive was produced, I think, in like 2001. And I think it got more funding as the seasons went on because they reenact these survival situations, whatever. And season 1, there's a boat, and it's literally like in a bathtub. They're like, the boat was going side to side, but they have like a model that they're just like doing this with. But what I thought was survival situations are exactly like weekends with the kids.
Yeah.
With 2 small kids.
Right.
because you're like, I realized the situation was it was 4 a.m. There was poop all over my neck, and I just had to make my situation slightly better.
Right.
I had to get coffee. I figure once I get coffee, and you're like, it took me an hour to get coffee, but I felt a little better.
Yeah, but it's
and
like
just gradually get a little better.
The survival philosophy is the same both in those situations, but also with parenting, which is like literally something I've worked on where you actually can't do the thing where you're like, okay, we're going to do this for an hour and then this thing, whatever. No, you have to be so in the moment that's almost like ruthless. Like you have to be like, nothing else matters. I don't need to check my phone. I don't need to I can't answer that email. If you have to do like one task, like a work thing or whatever, you have to do that for 5 minutes and then forget about it.
Yeah.
Like there is no, and also I'm going to call this person and catch up or and also we're going to make banana bread. No, you have to be just on the ground floor in it, with the suffering, with the pain, with the screaming. And then hopefully you get to a point where the kids are engaged with something and you can literally give yourself a little break, a mental break. But you still can't there's absolutely nothing, whether it's productive or not productive, that you can look at your day and be like, oh, I'm going to do this. No, you have no idea what you're going to do because the kids might be just absolutely losing their minds, in which case, whatever thing you thought you were going to do is not worth it anymore.
Right. And the other idea with these shows is that a lot of times they're floating around the ocean, with just life preservers on, or, they're on a mountainside cliff. They can't move more than an inch, they'll fall off. And they're always like, I knew if I got to the morning, it would get better. But then sometimes they get to the morning, they're like, but then the sun started beating down on us and it was actually worse. So you actually can't think that it'll get better either with kids sometimes. And I'm talking about the nights where it's, which we experienced recently.
The multiple wake ups.
3 hours of screaming in your face. And you're like, please go to bed.
Also, it's so sad because they're so tired. But I will say something, because I tend to be more of a morning person than a night person. Mm-hmm. And something that I do sometimes remind myself, even if they're up at 4 a.m. screaming in my face, I'm like, the truth of the matter is, if you can get some sleep, whether you've been sleeping up until then, or you can get another hour of sleep after you get them to calm down, once you get some rest, you will feel better. Everyone will feel better if they have some sleep. So it's I don't know, my general parenting philosophy is you have to build your day around the sleep lifestyle. Otherwise, you won't make it.
It's all that matters sometimes.
I mean, honestly, it's you won't make it. I don't even mean for the kids. I won't survive if I'm that level of sleep. That night that you were away and it was literally every couple hours of screaming in my face. Mm-hmm. The next night I was all I'm doing, because you still weren't home yet, I was all I'm doing is dinner time, bath time, and then at 8:30 I too am getting into bed. I'm you have to shut it down. And I'm and that's also when I see these people who haven't seen me in a while and they're what's new with you? I'm I just kind of I just kind of trying to stay alive, trying not to absolutely lose my mind in a 48-hour sleep cycle. And it seems it's not, it should not be that much effort to do that, but I'm it's the hardest thing you've ever done. It's just getting to the end of the day.
But then if I sleep 3 or 4 nights well and I go, we got it under control, then I'm
you feel fine.
Should we party? And then
well, this is what we keep doing to ourselves is every three weeks or so, we're maybe we can go out. And then we go out and we're we can't. It takes me another month to recover.
Do you have any more toxic traits you want to tell me about? Want to get into a fight?
No. No,
How are you?
I'm bad. My toxic trait is that I try to entertain myself by talking to people in the day to day, and some people are extremely on board for that, and some people are why are you looking at me? Why are you even opening your mouth right now? And I'm well, we're on the bus and it's 11 p.m.
Well, when I went
and I'm bored.
When I went to that Whole Foods in the burbs the other day, because I was it's closer if I just go there and then drive back in. I don't know what the hell's happening out there, but
in suburbia?
Yeah. People were walking around Like there was I was looking around. I go, nobody's talking to anybody. And then there's the personal shoppers are shopping for the people online.
Right.
And you're like, this is a dystopian future. We're like,
Everyone's just like,
there's two classes. There's those who must buy their own food, and there's those who send the buyers to buy their food.
I do always feel, I mean, I very rarely get stuff delivered, but I'm like, I do feel like an idiot because I'm like, hey, person I've never met, like, can you pick out this milk that I need?
Yeah,
like, it's
go
just
pick my
so
produce.
right. And I'm like, and then like inevitably it's not good, and you're like, you didn't pick the right bananas.
Want to jump right into some celebrity sightings? I had a good one yesterday.
Sure, go ahead.
I was lifting weights, and who was right in front of me but Wabistics.
Right. Have we talked about Wabistics on this podcast before?
I've never heard of it.
So,
Do you want to explain who?
Yeah,
I now have a twitch in my eye.
because you also saw a good one with a big head. I was trying to transition you.
Can I tell you something?
What?
Like, this is not good.
What we're talking about?
No.
Oh, the eye twitch?
Yeah.
You had one before, and you also had a big cyst on your eye at one point.
Yeah, no, that was like after I had the baby, and then you were like traveling for weeks at a time, and I was like,
And you're like,
and then I was like also going back to work after like 4 weeks of mat leave, and I was like, my eye won't open. I was like, this can't be good.
they're like, are you okay? You're like, I'm fine. You're like, your eye keeps twitching.
They're like, you look different. And I'm like, my head is swollen shut.
Wabistics in The Sopranos, he plays this very good-looking young mobster, and the episode is that they're doing a pump and dump stock scheme. They're like, you push Wabistics. So he like lives on our block, and we see him all the time, and he's fantastic looking. He was like 2 feet away from me lifting, and I wanted to be like,
He's pretty small.
Wabistics.
I'm sure he would laugh if you said Wabistics.
You push Wabistics. I did, but then he moved or something. I don't know what happened. But I heard you saw Willie G.
Yeah, I walked by Willie Geist, who I guess also lives in our neighborhood, and he is quite tall,
Yeah.
very tall, and
Good looking guy.
okay, and his
No?
head is big, and I will say this for him on camera. He doesn't come off as having a big head, but in
No.
real life, it's. I mean, it's not like out of proportion for how big he is, but it's just larger than I would have expected.
Yeah. Well, I've been told it helps on camera. It fills the screen up.
Sure,
Yeah.
does fill up the screen. Oh, and then I saw Jalen Rhodes last night.
Oh, yeah. So I wanted to ask you about that. So my number one, here's my top 3
I
celebrities.
gave him a little kiss. I was like, hello.
If you name drops, so Zach Woolridge supposedly used to hang out with him in L.A.
I honestly, like, if it had been more organic, I would have been like, hey, but like, we were sitting at like a little table, and I was on a chair that was like very low to the ground, like very low.
Yeah, and he's 6'9", and you're basically in a hole.
And so he was like almost like stories above me. He would have been stories above me if I was standing.
Yeah.
But I was so close to the floor, and he was looking for the bathroom, and he was also clearly like,
Don't fuck with me.
no, like he was just like, I'm going to the bathroom and I'm going to like go sit with my friends. Like,
Yeah.
I just like didn't think that he,
But he's on my Mount Rushmore of on-air talent. Like his.
and it was also like instant, like I saw him and then he was gone. So
yeah,
like, I
he's
don't,
very fast. He's a guard.
yeah, I just like, I would have had to like basically backflip out of my chair and like dive at his feet. And like, he would have been like,
Yeah.
why is this happening?
But it's Jalen Rose, Charles Barkley, Jim Cramer, Guy Fieri. That's my Mount Rushmore of on-air talent.
Jim Cramer was at that other event I went to out in California.
Did you talk to him?
No, I don't think he wanted to talk to anyone. And
He's a weird guy.
I think a lot of people were like, because he was very much like sitting there like this, like they were doing like a live podcast type of show.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other celebrities and personalities that were at this event were like, not like they were doing meet and greets, but they were definitely like saying hi to the people, like
Yeah.
goodwill tour. And you did not get that sense from Jim Cramer. He did not want to come shake your hand.
I saw him on the street one time, and, do you know who Jim Cramer even is? You loser?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You trade?
Yeah, I know who Jim Cramer is.
Oh, all right.
And I know that him and his wife have a real odd, yet possibly fake relationship on air. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Jim Cramer.
What?
Who's that? Yeah.
Wait. His
He's
wife-
hard left, she's hard right, apparently. And they've made a career out of
No, I don't think you know who Jim Cramer is. His wife
No,
isn't on
thinking
TV.
Oh, I'm
you're thinking
thinking
of
of,
James
Morning
Carville.
Joe?
Carville. I do know Jim Cramer.
Jim.
The money, hey, money's
Yeah.
going up.
Yeah.
Bang, bye, boom.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
too confused. Hey, guess what? Remember earlier when I said I know who that is? I'm not an idiot. Take that back.
He's like, you don't know how bad it is out there. Buy Amazon. Bang. Lightning round. He also does jokes. Here's why I love him so much.
Wait, that I really did. I'm like, oh, you're thinking of James Carville, who's like, Cajun style, and yeah.
But Jim Cramer does jokes to no studio audience, and he's done this for whatever 30 years. Here's why I like him. The guy commits to the joke right to the camera. If there's no reaction, he just keeps going. It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's like the Zoom comedy show, right? It's just like absolutely devastating. You
That didn't really happen, did it?
you hit a punchline, and then you're like, and then just you see emojis of people being like,
Yeah, but I had a plan to meet Jalen. I've had a plan to meet Jalen Rose for years because I was like a day one his podcast listener back in like 2014-ish, and then it kind of like gradually, like it got more and more corporate, which they did address on the show because it became a TV show.
right.
It used to just be like, Jalen, tell me the craziest shit of your NBA career. But he supposedly knows my college teammate, according to Zach, but that could be
But
a tall tale. So I always want to go up to him and be like, number one, I love you. I've been day one. And number two, do you really know Zach Woolrich?
I just feel like when you're saying hi to a celebrity, like it's more about it has to be as organic as possible, and you also have to be like leaving. Like it's like you don't want anyone to feel like trapped or weird, and it's New York, so like you can't make it so that you're the loser who's like saying hi. Like you got to be cool.
You're the Loser is a good name for a podcast.
Biggest Loser.
You're the
That's
Loser.
a good TV show name.
Yeah. We should get celebrity trainers to make us run till we puke.
Oh my god.
They get hospitalized.
Yeah,
I've already done that pod. It was with Will.
Yeah, you kind of did already do that.
Damn it. All right, well, we got to bring this turkey trot down for Landon. You have no labrums, I heard.
I have no labrums.
This became Comics Unleashed.
This is wait. Also, I would love to do Comics Unleashed. Are you kidding?
Love it. It's like stand up, but you get a chair.
I love it. I love it. Oh, Twitch is back.
My Comics Unleashed, he'd be like, so I realized you shaved your nuts lately.
Right.
I heard you shave your nuts recently.
Like, Alyssa, I heard you're pro-abortion.
Yeah.
Like, just cue me right up.
I want to do that show just so I could play dumb. So ask me a question. Set me up.
Yeah, I heard it's weird being tall in New York City.
Huh? And I never go back on the show.
What are you talking about?
What?
They're like, oh, so Alyssa, I guess dating was tough for you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, hamburger.
It is good to be here.
It is good to be here. Oh, so yeah. So I turns out so another one of my toxic traits is that I see someone doing like anything athletic, like the people who like ran the New York City Marathon, and I'm like, I could do that.
Good.
I'm sure I could, but also like I can't like actually do it right now. Like I really would have to train or like maybe start working out. Like I really couldn't do it. But one of the reasons I can't do it is because all of my labrums are torn in all of my joints.
Yeah.
And I went to the orthopedist and he confirmed that I have some sort of thing where like all my joints are like all loose.
Yeah.
And
Show
he's
your
like-
finger. Bend your finger back so that it touches your wrist. Ew. She's like no bones.
But I didn't know that was like a thing.
Ew.
Can you do that? Can you do this?
I can do that one, but I can't bend my Gumby finger back like I'm part jellyfish.
Yeah. Anyway,
But you did feel, because I knew exactly what you were gonna feel. You were like, wait, I'm an X-Men. You felt like, when you're a little kid.
can I tell you something? He looked impressed. He was like, "How are you doing this with your bones just like rattling around in the sockets?"
Every kid wants the doctor to be like, "You actually have super strength."
Yeah, it's like when my sister went to the doctor and he was like, "You actually have 2 ankles on 1 foot," and she was like, "What?"
You're so pumped.
Yeah, well, obviously she's a freak, but also
And 1 cankle on the other one.
Hello. Samantha, shout out to Samantha if you are listening.
$200.
$200 will be Venmoed to you.
All right, well, we got to go. So is there anything else you wanted to say to me? Huh? Miss No Joints?
Yeah, no, that was the whole story. It's just that he was impressed with my general deformities. And you know what made me really laugh is like we're looking at the x-rays together, which is always uncomfortable because it's like my pelvis. And I'm like, why are we looking at this? It's
Can
like,
you see your vagina in there?
yeah, it's made of bone.
Well, when they look at my pelvis,
You see your dick?
my penis is there. And I'm talking like they put it up on a screen like this, and they're like, "Well, right here, your labrum store." And I'm like, "Well, what about right there? That's pretty good, right?" I at least want them to comment and be like, "Nice job, pretty good."
Well, I guess my situation isn't as floppy, but I did notice that the person like reading the x-rays who's like a young girl, like younger than us, was like writing notes, and it was like internal derangement. And I was like, wait, is this like a psych? I'm like, she's gonna like do a psych evaluation. Like they just like ship me out of the like orthopedist office like into a ward. Like she was like deranged. Every single word was literally deranged. And I was like, so not only is my brain messed up, but also all my joints are deranged.
Hips don't lie.
Hips don't lie. They're deranged.
Deranged hips. All right. Well, from your deranged lips to my deranged hips.
Oh my God.
Subscribe, like. We're really trying to get this to lose less money per week. So please smash that like. Make a comment. If you're one of our super fans,
right?
Don't text us.
Oh, you know
write
what?
it in the comments.
You know we have another super fan?
Who?
Sam Hodling. I'm looking at you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Shout out.
Shout out to Sam.
Can I one more pet peeve about speaking? How come nobody knows how to use the word myself?
Myself. I can say it.
People are always saying myself when they should say me.
Because people don't understand like Noah and I are going to the park, right? They don't understand that rule. So then they go, everyone used to make the mistake of like, that's what's going on with Noah and I. And you're like, that's not correct. So then they got nervous about saying me because they got admonished for saying me in the first place.
Yeah.
Because they were like, me and Noah are going somewhere. So then they started going myself, as if like picking a fancier word would make it grammatically correct.
They'll be like, well, she handed the phone to myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're done. I can never respect you anymore.
That just reminded me of one of my favorite Henry phrases right now.
What's that?
When he hears something and then he goes, what I heard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did I hear? He's like, what I heard.
What did you heard? What did you heard?
I'm like, I think it's an ambulance. He goes, an ambulance.
Yeah, he talks like a 1970s blaxploitation film.
Yes.
What you heard? I'm like, where'd you learn that?
I also like that he's in a phase now where we're just like being quizzed all the time. Like he thinks that I don't know it's an ambulance.
Yeah, what is that?
Right. I'm like, a light. He goes, no, it's a lamppost. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right,
He
I
is
guess
the
I'm an
king
idiot.
Of, synonym disagreement game.
Yeah.
All right, I'm starving. I'm hypoglycemic. I'm hyperactive, and I'm
Falling asleep.
out of here. It is good to be here.
It is good to be here.